bicycle facilities, and other safe accommodations for those users. So this is all in addition to our regional transportation plan. So just to reiterate, we'll be going all around the region over the next couple of months to give these presentations to every community and solicit feedback from everyone who will listen to us. We'll have that public comment period open through the end of March. We'll also be hosting a public open house in person at MORPC's offices on March 19th. So that'll be in the afternoon from 3:30 to 6:30, and will be an opportunity for anyone to come talk to us, view the maps and project lists in person, ask any questions, but generally get that sort of hands-on opportunity to meet with us and talk about the plan. And then after the end of March, we'll take all of that feedback to incorporate into the final document that should hopefully be adopted in May. That is all I have for you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lauren, for your presentation. Seems like you all have a lot going on, which is good work. One of the questions that I have is, it sounds like, I believe back in 2022, you start this process of outlining what the plan is. Do you feel like you all are on track, though, to hit that final adoption of that draft in May with everything that's going on?
That's a really good question. And I feel like we do this to ourselves every time, but yes. We are required by the federal government to meet that deadline, so we will meet it. And we're really at that kind of endpoint where once we get everyone's feedback, it gets incorporated into the final document, and we have a couple of months in there to make sure that happens. So yes.
Thank you, Ms. Lauren. Are there any questions or comments from council?
First of all, I just want to say thank you for the presentation and for coming here this evening. And also, I noticed on one map, I'm not going to ask you to go back through, keep on right there, that it highlighted some of the bike and walk paths that's currently in Reynoldsburg and ones that are potentially. How is MORPC trying to help connect those paths throughout the region? Because you talked about increased use of walking, biking, shared riding and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say kudos to MORPC and ODOT for the new on and off ramp that they're going to be putting over there off of Taylor Road. I'm glad they listened to me and Councilwoman Bryan when she was on. We went and talked to them some odd years back. But anyway, I just want to know how's that going to connect all together.
Yeah, thank you for that question. It's a really good one. MORPC has staff who work really closely with the Central Ohio Greenways Board, which is a board comprised of local agency staff, but also advocates and related organization leaders who are focused on this initiative to build out a network of a regional trail system. So we have a really good foundation currently. We have over 230 miles of regional trails, of which and I always get them confused. I think this is the Big Walnut Trail that runs kind of along the creek there. Mm-hmm. So that's included in the Central Ohio Greenways vision. There's a 7 county-wide vision that establishes a connected regional network of trails. So that includes the 230 miles that exist today, but it also includes an additional 500 miles of regional trails. So the squiggly green line you see there along Big Walnut is one of those proposed alignments. And that board works closely with MORPC staff and other MORPC committees to identify a number of things. One, where those trail alignments might actually be feasible, because we've realized over time that building along waterways is really challenging for a lot of reasons. But then we also work to identify partners to implement them, as well as funding sources to help us construct them. So I guess to basically answer your question, if you look up Central Ohio Greenways online, there's a whole bunch of information as well as a map of that proposed vision that kind of guides us toward implementing those trail connections.
I just have one more. I noticed where you have the triangle for intersection modification.
Mm-hmm.
Are those areas that that is actually, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Their intersection, especially the 5-way, I know that's been a lot of issue with traffic and stuff like that. So my question is there actually a plan to actually alleviate the issues at those points? I just see it listed on the map. It seems like y'all might have some sort of ideal or plan the way you want to address that.
Yeah, so I'll let the mayor speak to this a little bit, but to clarify, I should have mentioned in the presentation that many of the projects that are included in the MTP are conceptual at this point. A lot of them are identified for funding in those later years, like 2040 time frame. So there's no real design or plan yet. It's just been identified as a need.
I guess the good part is that at least it's on your radar.
Yes, exactly.
Go ahead, Mayor, I'm sorry.
To kind of, part of the process is, the first step is making sure that any kind of major projects like this are identified on this. So if federal funds become available and we want to apply sometime, not necessarily 2040, but sometime between now and then, the fact that it's already been identified, it's already been looked at, then that just gets us one step to the next level. So if we're asking for additional money to actually improve that, because I know right now council has decided to hold off on the 5-way interchange until some other projects get done. But in the off chance that this council or future councils decide that they want to make that a priority, we're trying to get ahead of it so that way we don't have to work our way backwards. We're trying to get things set in a good foundation if you decide to go that direction.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from council? All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Warren, for presenting this evening.
Yes, thank you.
Next on the agenda is proclamation. A proclamation recognizing Black History Month. Councilmember Baker, would you please read the resolution?
Thank you, Council Pro Tem Strickland. Every year since I've been on council, every February for Black History Month, I've always done a resolution honoring Black History Month here in the city of Reynoldsburg. And I want to continue with that tradition by reading this resolution recognizing and honoring Black History Month for February 2024. It reads, whereas the city of Reynoldsburg takes pride in recognizing February 2024 as Black History Month, celebrating many noble contributions that people of African descent have made in our country. And whereas the origins of Black History Month dates back to 1915 when Dr. Carter G. Woodson founded the organization known today as Association for the Study of African American Life and History. And whereas the city celebrates the diversity of Black people in Reynoldsburg, the state of Ohio, and our nation, whether they self-identify as African, African-American, Afro-Latino, Afro-Caribbean, of Black, and whereas the city uplifts our community leaders, Black business owners, professionals, and others who promote well-being and knowledge throughout the many facets of the Black community as part of our whole inclusive community. And whereas recent events have re-elevated the mandate of the Black struggle, the African American struggle, and underscore the need for more efforts to bring about the lasting institution and societal change that is desperately needed in our community. Whereas the 2024 Black History Month theme is Black Renaissance, to celebrate the Kwanzaa principles of Njama, collective work and responsibility. Be it resolved by the Council of the City of Reynoldsburg that this council does hereby recognize and declare the month of February 2024 as Black History Month in the City of Reynoldsburg, and encourage the community to observe this month and reflect the continued efforts to create a world that is more just, equitable, and prosperous for us all. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, and I'll keep on saying it probably until my last breath, that Black history is American history. It's part of American history. It's ingrained into American history, which all of us here, whether you're black, white, Latino, pink, purple, whatever, is part of this history. So, with that being said, Madam President, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Councilmember Baker. Are there any questions or comments from council? May I have a motion to approve this proclamation?
Come on.
Motion by Councilmember Pacquiao. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Johnson. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Councilmember Baker, for presenting that. Communication. There are no additional communications. Motions. A motion of the Council of the City of Reynoldsburg expressing concern and frustration regarding the gun violence and calling upon the General Assembly of the State of Ohio to take action, advancing reasonable, rational, and fair gun control legislation. Councilmember Hill, would you please read the motion?
Yes. Whereas, should I start with the motion or just go through the bullets? Whereas in the year 2023, there were 43,020 deaths related to gun violence in the United States of America. And whereas in the year 2023, there were 657 mass shootings and 41 mass murders in the United States. And whereas in the year 2023, there were 938 children aged 0 to 11 injured or killed by gun violence in the United States. And whereas in the year 2023, there were 5,260 minors aged 12 to 17 injured or killed by gun violence in the United States. And whereas in the year 2023, there were 430 law enforcement officers injured or killed in the line of duty by gun violence in the United States. And whereas in the United States, there are more civilian-owned guns than there are civilians at approximately 120 guns per 100 residents, more than twice as high as the next highest country in the world, Yemen. And whereas in 2021, statistics showed that firearms were used in 85.7% of all homicides in the United States, an increase of 63.7% of all homicides in the year 2014. And whereas on January 21st, 2023, a gunman armed with a semi-automatic pistol variant of the MAC-11 with an extended high-capacity magazine entered the Star Ballroom in Monterey Park, California, fired 42 rounds, killing 11 people and injuring 9 others before ultimately committing suicide after contact with law enforcement officers. And whereas on February 13th, 2023, in East Lansing, Michigan, a gunman armed with 2 9mm handguns, 11 magazines, and 136 rounds of loose ammunition entered a classroom on the campus of Michigan State University and fired repeatedly into a classroom, killing 3 students and injured 5 others before fatally shooting himself. And whereas on March 27th, 2023, in Nashville, Tennessee, a gunman armed with an AR-15 military-style rifle and a 9mm pistol caliber carbine, each carrying 30-round magazines, fired more than 150 rounds at and within a parochial elementary school, killing 3 students, each aged 9 years old, and 3 adults. And whereas on April 10th, 2023, in Louisville, Kentucky, a disgruntled former employee entered a bank building armed with an AR-15 military-style rifle and began shooting, killing 5 people and injuring 8 others before law enforcement were able to kill the perpetrator in exchange of gunfire. And whereas on April 28th, 2023, in Cleveland, Texas, a man was test firing his AR-15 military-style rifle in his yard when a neighbor asked him to stop because their baby was sleeping. The man entered the neighbor's residence and began shooting, killing 5 people, including a 9-year-old boy. And whereas on May 6, 2023, in Allen, Texas, a man armed with an AR-15 military-style rifle shot directly into a crowd outside a large mall, injuring 7 people and killing 8 people, including 3 children ages 3, 8, and 11. And whereas on August 26, 2023, in Jacksonville, Florida, a gunman armed with an AR-15 style rifle bearing in writing swastika and racial slurs shot and killed 3 black victims outside a store before finally killing himself. And whereas on October 25th, 2023, in Lewiston, Maine, a gunman with a known history of reported mental illness, armed with a semi-automatic rifle and a semi-automatic pistol, entered a recreation facility during a youth league event and began shooting, killing 7 people. The gunman left the scene, then entered a bar and restaurant 4 miles away and began